welcome back to Plus This. I am Kathy Deach, and unfortunately, Nikki is trying to get healthy. She is going through changes, so she needed the night off. But because I have a bevy of beautiful plus-size babes in my life, we brought in the one, the only Dellany Peace to help co-host with me this week. Hi, Del.
Hi. Thank you for having me. And I obviously cannot replace Miss Nikki. I'm sending her lots of healing energy. I love that girl. She is fierce, but I am happy to be sitting here. Yeah.
Yes. And also because, not to plug as we're doing this, our fat show is coming up. She wants to be really good for October 12th.
Oh, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. We're not plugging anything at all, but October 12th fat
October
show.
12th,
Plus
8:30 plus bus pop up. Just saying. And we're like, Nikki, you got to host that show.
Yeah. Nikki's got to be ready for that.
So I was like, don't come in. Leave. It's fine.
Exactly.
You don't have to be here at all.
I
know, but you know, I know that you're a blast, and I knew you'd be up for the task even last minute.
Thank you.
Which is just really fun.
Yeah. And I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Your whole outfit is fetch.
Oh, you're so sweet.
See what I did there on October 3rd?
I saw it.
On October 3rd.
If you can't see it home and you're listening, I have this amazing Proud Mary design T-shirt that is in homage to the blue Gap logo, but it says fat on it. And I'm wearing this because tonight I'm going to see Roxanne Gay and her live podcast Here to Slay down at the Ace Hotel Theater.
It's going to be so awesome.
And it's going to be turned. And I wanted to I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be. And that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a girl who wears a fat T-shirt.
And you are. She's so this whole outfit is a look.
Thank you.
We're gonna we'll be sharing it on social media later. Everybody.
Yeah, for sure. We
incredible.
took our pictures already.
Yes.
We're so on top of it.
Yes.
And we have a bomb guest.
We really do.
And she and I have a lot of things in common, which is exciting.
Yes.
And I can't wait to talk about all of them. Liz Jenkins is here, guys. And we'll talk about her in a minute, though. We're going to let her have a segment off while she can just sip her tea and talk about us.
Sips
on
tea.
social media. She might be chatting with you in the stream right now on Facebook. I don't know your life. She could be doing that while we talk.
Yeah, I mean, she could be.
Yeah, she could do it.
Well, speaking of tea, you have a lot of tea to spill because I'm sitting here like, what is going on?
I know. So this whole it's really funny because I was last night with my friend. My friend was visiting me. She lives in New Orleans, but she went and spent. She's an author, and she went and spent a month in Bali and a month in New Zealand because she's baller. And she was like, "Can I just get my layover be with you for a few days?" I was like, of course. My couch is not comfortable and my house is not clean enough for a guest, but please come over. So and she suffered it, and she's amazing. But I was looking up last night. I was like, fat news, what has happened in fat news? And I was like, I can't believe I didn't take this in as fat news, right? Something went down at Paris Fashion Week, and I consider it fat news because it is one of our favorite fat performers, Chica.
Yes.
Who, if you don't know her yet, just go check her out.
Yes.
Her Instagram alone, the raps that she does, the freestyle she does is ridiculous. She's an incredible rapper, songwriter. And she's been doing, we've covered her on here before. We've done her at she was one of the Nike ad girls.
Yeah.
She's just really cool.
She really is. Listen to Kathy. Follow her now because y'all don't want to be like y'all were with Lizzo and only finding out about Lizzo 2 months ago.
We've been talking about Lizzo for 2 years. On this show.
We've been talking. Yeah. Well, I wasn't here, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm in that team of we've been talking about Lizzo, and now suddenly everyone's like, oh, Lizzo. Same thing with Chica. Right?
Yeah. She's gonna blow up.
She really
is. Get her stuff. Follow her. Love on her. So
what happened?
Brands are loving on her too, and there is a magazine called Business of Fashion, and they picked her as one of the 5 cover people. Okay. Which I don't know that they've ever had a plus size woman, let alone and a woman of color. Certainly not
That's
great.
Great.
And their big thing is that they wanted to be really, really inclusive.
Okay.
And so I guess by the way, Chica was like, I'm living my best life ever. This is a dream. This is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Cool.
And then all this fallout happened from her participating.
What?
So the gentleman Imran Ahmed, who threw the event and is like the guy in charge, basically wanted it to feel like it was all kinds of culture, except for it was like a gospel choir was like greeting people as they came in.
Okay.
And one of the designers, Pyre Moss, who, the Pyre Moss founder, Kirby Jean Raymond, was like, but how many participants here are black? Like, why are you pandering to us? Like you're taking black culture, but you're not like bringing black designers with you.
Whoa.
And I guess there also was something like he had said to him, I want you to do a keynote speech and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it kind of downgraded to a panel. So
wow.
there was like, and like Chica was there in the middle, like, wow, like I can't have nice things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet she was like, I know this, there is validity in this.
There really is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know how this, because you're telling me in real time, but that is appropriation. Like, and I feel this happens a lot where they want to use, from when I say they, like white supremacy basically wants to use like bits and pieces of other cultures, and it's usually the African American culture, right, that is taking the hit the worst, and they just bring it in like that and go, see, we're woke, but they're not woke because they're not actually really including behind the scenes it, like this person's point. So I can totally see that.
So it also, it also was like a personal thing too. I think that he felt like not only was it like a snub to people like African American designers, but also to him personally, that he didn't get that time, he didn't get that. So it sort of was like, but other designers were like, what is even happening? Like it was like really awkward, I guess, is how they felt.
It feels that way.
A couple of them left. So and they literally said, but we're still here to see Chica. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're like not fans of her.
Right.
But of course, then she feels like really torn. Like, should I have asked more questions? I probably, you know what I mean? So then she's going through as a new artist, like all these feelings. So her and Kirby talked and had a great discussion. And then Imran came, and I'm like talking like their first names, like I'm on first name basis with any of these people. Like I'm so not.
That's how cool you are.
I'm so in with fashion, so not. Anyway, but then he wrote a beautiful thing, like I need to listen, and he wrote like I need to listen to Kirby, and this is why, and not that it matters, but this was my intention. And he had, I guess, in his school. When he felt really out and outside, and I believe he's a person of color too, and is gay, felt outside in his school, and it was a gospel choir that embraced him.
Aww.
So for him, it was that, right? It was like I'm paying homage to the thing that made me feel accepted.
Exactly.
And and this is something we will definitely talk to Liz about, but like how, that very similar thing happened to me, and how like African American women especially, but men too, like are the caretaker, like they're always taking care of us. Like even the murderer of the policewoman who murdered a black man in his own home, like still like gets taken care of by his brother. Like there is something like.
Or even
crazy about that.
it was Dallas, I think, and this is something else that just happened in Texas, but a black cheerleader, she was on her homecoming float she's in high school or whatever, on her homecoming float, and she actually saw out in the crowd there was a toddler choking, and it's a little white boy, and she actually like jumped off the float like a freaking superhero, and she went and gave that toddler the Heimlich, like and she did it successfully, because I guess the mother had tried before and she wasn't, and the kid was turning purple, and so this black teenage girl just jumped off the float and did what she had to do, and then like got back on the float. And I thought to myself, the timing of this with what you just mentioned with Amber, is it Geiger? I hate to even mention that.
I don't even know.
I don't even want to ever say that name again. Anyway, the point is that black people keep running to the rescue.
I know.
You know what I mean?
And like taking care of white people's feelings.
And how freaking exhausted and draining they must.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so
So
draining.
I understand Kirby's app and others who like went there.
Totally.
Like feeling that.
Right.
But I also can see, as being someone who was the only white person in an all black gospel choir in high school, like I understand. And I literally was being bullied, and those girls stopped the bully from bullying me. Like, I know that story though too. So it like really like hit me. I was like, wow. And like, so like really like we all should just really spend our lives making life better for Black people.
Amen. No, not our every single day. Like I used to say I'm an ally, but I learned from your future husband, Matt McGorry.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I learned from him like about a year ago.
He talks about me all the time.
Yeah, right. I mean, he can't stop talking about Kathy. Let's just talk about other things, Matt. But anyway, in between the How to Get Away with Murder, all these things.
I know.
What I learned from him was like. And I'm sure he learned this from someone else. But the point is like we say we're allies, but we're not. It's not that easy. And I think that makes us lazy. I like to say I practice my allyship. It's something that you have to work on every single day.
Yeah.
You can't drop the freaking.
And what the cool thing that came out of this was that this designer, Ahmed, was like, he was like, this is such a huge teachable moment for me.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's great.
He like was like, I'm
humbled, right?
I'm still learning.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, you had made this excellent point a while back ago when I ranted to you. Lizzo, there was something she did with Kardashians. You remember I kind of ranted about it, like, yeah, Lizzo. Yeah. But this was before she blew up.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. She was doing an ad with them.
She did something.
Yeah, like she was talking about one of their products.
Look how much of a non-issue it is. That I don't even remember what it was. But you said something very. It made sense to me in that Dellany, she knows what she's doing. And right now in the beginning of her of this type of career or this stage of her career, there's purpose behind it. So like, don't worry, she still has our backs. Because I was like, she's turning against the fat girls or whatever, but that wasn't the case at all. So maybe for Chica, like being at the stage she's at, she went into this, and then like you said, did she really say she can't have nice things, or that was more?
No, that was totally. I said that, guys. I said that. Just everyone's clear. I'm looking right in the camera. Kathy Deach said that.
Yeah, no, Kathy said that.
But she definitely was like mourning the loss of her joy.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
it's hard.
A real thing.
And in our culture, we have this cancel culture, which you and Nikki have also talked about on the show. And it's just like the choices you have to make within the industry as a public figure. I mean, everybody's watching your every move. It's hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
And I blessings upon all.
Yes.
Everyone deserves space. Let's everyone's trying to do better, and that's like the good news out of this conversation.
Yes,
because we know some people are not trying to do better.
No, they're not.
Kardashians. I want to talk about another thing that my friend who's visiting me, I should say her name, Tiffany.
She's from New Orleans,
and she's like so on a flight right now, so sad she's like, why didn't I schedule it later? I was like, I know, that's so silly. You totally should have come by. Tiffany Monique, by the way, she's an amazing author. And she was saying about how there's like this big thing. She has a friend who has a food truck in New Orleans that is vegetarian soul food.
Oh.
And exactly. I knew that would light up your day. So there's another reason to go to New Orleans.
I missed that.
So, and she was talking about how it's like a thing, like it's a plus size woman who runs the truck, and she gets asked often about like fat vegetarians.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you wanted to talk about that, your experience a little bit with that.
Oh my goodness. It's been an awful experience.
No, Dellany.
This is first world issues, by the way. I want to say, me saying, it's been such an awful experience. Like, I really don't care. It's just food. But the point is that the choices I made to stop eating meat, and by the way, I'm still not completely clean off of meat. I'm a pescatarian, actually. So I still dabble in the seafood world, knowing that I'm basically consuming plastic. So I'm trying to get off of that. But for me, I made the choices, and this is what shocks people because they body check me. I always say body check if people don't know what that means, or I think y'all get it, right? Like, people will look you up and down like, oh. So, like, basically, ever since I stopped eating meat, I've gotten body checked so many times because everyone's like, but she's still fat, or she's gained more weight since I last saw her. Like, I got that a lot. I'm from North Carolina, and I got that a lot, since I've stopped eating meat about a year and a half ago. Like, somebody said to me, I just don't get it, Dellany. You stopped eating meat, but you got more fat. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, I've gained a lot of weight since I stopped eating meat. And the reason why, and by the way, I'm not explaining myself. I'm just explaining because I don't even care. I love being fat, you guys, just to be clear. I'm going to steal Kathy's shirt so I can wear it.
You could get one.
Like, I have gotten
You don't have to
happier the
steal
fatter
mine.
I've gotten. Happy people are they eat. So basically, I wasn't smart in how when I made the choice, and it was for moral and ethic reasons, not because I was like, oh, I need to be thin, which is a dumb reason to stop eating meat, you know. But whatever, like, but like
because you might not.
Yeah.
And that because they are not tied.
No, they're not
together.
at all.
Yeah.
They are not at all. But what I found is how highly and heavily dependent I was on chicken, especially like in the South, fried chicken, you know. So like chicken. But like when I took out the meat, like, and it was mainly chicken, I was starving, y'all. I was starving. And I had not really done the proper homework yet on like what I know now, like quinoa and like a sweet potato, like things where you can get like your protein and your vegetable or your nutrients, and you can be full, right?
Yeah.
Like I just did a thing where like I'm quitting, and that's it, and I immediately like quit without putting the thought in it, and then I was still just doing the basics like a salad, which a salad doesn't fill anybody up. That's just ridiculous. Or like a banana, like dumb stuff. Like, but y'all, I've never really been into French fries. I started eating French fries, potatoes, like everything you can think of that, yes, will make you gain weight. I was totally on board for it because I was starving. So yeah, I've gained weight, and people just look at me like, oh, you don't eat meat, and how long has this been? And like,
yeah, because again, people have this idea that they know body chemistry, and that doesn't add up for them.
They think that you should be thin, or you should be like on your way to being thin, and like it's why is it tied to that? Like, oh, are you any healthier? Actually, I'm not. Like the first year I got off of meat was the most unhealthy year I've had. You know what I mean? And again, it's because I wasn't smart about my research. Like, you really have to research this before you do it, you know? And it just hasn't been fun, and just the assumptions people have. But there are many fat non-meat eaters out there.
Tons.
Many.
There's an amazing amount of chefs, by the way.
Yeah.
I went and was looking at everything, and we have to find one to have on the show.
Oh yeah.
I'll work that.
I'll help you with that.
And maybe you could totally meet her.
Well, I have a friend who has a vegan taco truck out here, and it's called Nene's Vegan Tacos.
Cute.
And the whole thing behind it is that she, being a vegan, she'd be out late at night clubbing or whatever with her friends, and like, there were all these taco trucks or meat trucks, but she's vegan.
So
she's like, I got nowhere to
and I'm just as hungry from all the dancing.
Exactly. So she solved her own problem. Was like, I'm gonna have my own food truck, and
I hope she still goes out dancing.
Oh yeah. Well, now she's a businesswoman, so she's got her priorities shifted.
But that food truck life is real. You know, I worked on my friend's food truck. For my first 2 years of living here.
I didn't know that.
Girl, that's a whole other story. Go back and watch Rosa Graziano's things.
Okay,
it's really fun.
All right.
You have your series that's out.
I do.
And She's Too Fat.
Yes.
And we're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And we're going to run an ad for it while we take a quick break so we can get Liz Jenkins in the hot seat. So watch Dellany.
Yes!
Really?
Killed it in the audition.
Ogre is the best I've ever had.
Such a pretty face.
I was fat in high school.
What are you, size 14?
I'm a size 16, but that doesn't even matter.
There's this whole body positivity trend happening right now.
I'm sick of these stupid diet commercials. Well, you know what? When I start going out on those auditions and booking them, I'm going to prove you and everybody else out there wrong.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Dellany loves to push talking up until the very last second. That's one thing I do remember from the last time, that I literally was sweating balls. Because
what does that feel like, Kathy?
It's very intense. I'm like, is she going to stop? Is she going to stop? I don't know. I don't want to tell her to shut up. I just want to tell her.
Shout out to ADHD because this is where it comes in great. I'm talking to her. I feel her sweaty balls, and our gentleman over here is like 4, 3, 2.
Oh my God,
ADHD.
hilarious. I just want to say I love this intro. We ask our guests sometimes to like help us write an intro. And this like I just love it so much. Self-loving actor and writer Liz Jenkins is here. Hi.
Liz.
That's really great. I'm so glad you feel that way.
Thank you.
People
Thanks.
don't.
Oh, hell yeah.
They really
Wait, is there
don't.
cursing? No cursing.
No.
Probably.
You can. She don't curse
I
Okay.
mean,
because her
'Cause I
mama
wanna
watches.
mama.
Yeah. I mean, my mom's watching, but
but your
Self-love
mama might
is
be okay
mine
with
too.
that.
self-love is that important. Like,
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Yes, of course, of course. Now, we like to ask all our guests right off the bat. Do you identify as fat?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
I mean,
I don't even think it took me any time to like just that's not true. Definitely all through high school I would have cried a million tears if anyone had called me that to my face. But I don't know, since I can't remember the last time I was offended by that word, which makes me feel like yeah, I've been pretty fat acceptance. Like I'm okay with that word. I identify with it, and I kind of love it. It's
Yeah.
to me, it is empowering. I know some people struggle with finding the power in that word, and I totally understand that. But yeah, I mean,
the truth is the light. Pretty
exactly. I mean, I like some of the other words. Like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind rotund.
Yeah.
What I don't like is like, I'm an actress, and when you get like an audition and it just says heavy set,
Yes.
Oh, I know.
Heavy
What
set
the-
is real weird.
yeah.
Heavy set is not my
I
friend.
don't even understand why. Like, I feel like that's them trying to be polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fat would be better.
Just say
would be
fat.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Say,
really
I need
don't
a
mind that word.
Fat bitch
Yeah.
audition. I'd be like, yeah, I would like that part.
Yes.
I'm in. I
I'm
got
in.
that T-shirt.
Exactly.
Where's
But
my fabulous
For
T-shirt?
some reason,
Let's
heavy
go.
set is like would irk me more than
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Fat.
I mean, it reminds me of when you were a kid and they had husky.
Oh, husky.
Heavy set is very on the lines with husky.
It
for me.
is.
Husky is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Voluptuous is like.
Yeah.
I did a podcast recently, and we dissected the word curvy and like how certain social media is like trying to take that word and make it like one specific thing that excludes fatness.
Yes.
And I'm like, nah, we have the
It
most
is.
curves. That is our word.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you say that there was a hashtag on Instagram that was a very fat positive one for a long time. Honor my curves.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
And it has. Go visit it because I like to search things to
Right.
repost
Right.
people and like spread the love, and I'm like, who needs love? Whose page needs to be
Mm-hmm.
seen? So I'm always looking for new people, and I hadn't done it in a really long time, and it has been completely usurped
Hijacked.
dear.
It's
by
been
a
hijacked,
bunch
hasn't
of
it?
like
No one's
silicone.
heavy set
Yeah.
on that.
No
Yeah.
one's heavy set on honor my curves anymore.
Honor my curves.
Yeah,
Our
I
body
will-
positivity. Let's
I
be.
will
I
not
don't
be.
either.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know what that means.
Yeah.
It's a hard. It's a hard one to grasp because on paper, I think a lot of people would think they know exactly what that means.
Right.
Right.
But when you give it a Google,
Give it a Google.
find out that you're wrong.
You know what I would love to do? Because we were all three sitting here just of logic and mind, and we're saying we all don't mind the word fat, right? But I would really love us to talk about like for people to learn, like these honor my curves type people, like when you say you're feeling fat, like a lot of people still do that. I'm feeling
Right.
fat today. Like you're saying that your feeling is what I actually look like in every day,
Right.
and you're saying it in
And
a
it's
negative
never a
Oh
positive.
gosh, yeah.
connotation. I'm feeling fat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talk about my best friend is a social worker. I hope she's watching.
Yes, best friend.
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
And
Lindsay.
she's one of the most aware and like spot on with like actually understanding body positivity. And it's so good because she works with middle school kids, which is,
Perfect.
I mean, she's
Oh,
like
that's the-
Captain Planet, but like all of the, she's like love, self-love, beauty, heart. Like she's doing it all. And we talk a lot about like these negative connotations, and that's like a perfect example of one. And actually, she checked me not long ago because I think I said something about like the scale or like, oh, I hate the scale or something. And she was like, I mean, that word can be triggering too. And I was like, it totally can be. Or like, I think, oh no, what it was I was like, I was bad yesterday and I had such and such.
Oh, it's so important
and
to say.
she was like, check yourself.
Moralizing
before
food.
you wreck
Because
yourself.
you had
exactly
whatever
because
you
I had
had.
and I mean sometimes for me like I'm lactose intolerant. It actually could be very bad.
Yes, but that's
Bad
really
in one way.
what
Right.
your friend Lindsay was checking you on.
Exactly.
It wasn't
that
for that.
wasn't what I meant. I meant like I had chocolate or something
Right.
like that. And I so appreciate her because those are the little things that like just I feel like my dial is like constantly turning in terms of like knowing exactly how to love myself. And it's perfect to have like a best friend like that to be like, meh, you didn't really mean that. I don't
Wow.
think. Yeah, she's
It's a
pretty
work in
fabulous.
progress, though. I don't know if
Absolutely.
any one person completely has it. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
so it's good when you have a friend who can see things that maybe you can't see, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I was just talking to another friend about how easy literally anything can throw you off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Seeing a bad photo of you.
Exactly.
Seeing a photo that's just not flattering.
Right.
Like it's not even about, I know,
Right.
they don't take bad pictures.
Or even just like
No,
other
I
people's, like, I really do feel like it's one of those things where we kind of have to change everyone's vocabulary because I'll be on my self-loving tip all month and then I run into like a girlfriend and she's like, oh, I need to lose weight and like and she's very very petite or fit and it's like, damn girl, like that you have no idea, but that literally turned my dial the wrong way.
It totally does.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you tell her? Did you?
I didn't, because I think it is hard. It is like we're kind of like on this, I don't know, I'll make up an analogy right now. Like I feel like we're on a hike. I would say the three of us and people like my friend Lindsay, and it's kind of like people like that, you kind of have to try to help them up this hill and like you kind of have to wait till they're ready to go up the hill.
Exactly.
They gotta have their shoes
and
on.
we're so socialized.
Exactly.
It's so like there is one thing that any one of us, if we walked into a group of women that none of them looked alike, the one thing we could bond about is body.
Right.
Our bodies is something, trashing our bodies, talking about the food we eat is like the number one social starter.
Absolutely.
And that is the thing I'm trying to shake up.
Right.
My instinct to like play into that, my instinct to like walk down that road with people, especially
Right.
thin people. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. So, if someone says I look cute, I'm like, oh my God, thanks.
Right.
And
You
I'm
try
like,
not
and
to
try to
negate
move,
the-
move
Right.
something out.
Well,
move
see,
on.
and that's another thing too, though. That's so funny. I love girls. Let's talk. So, no, you know what I'm trying to change in my dog? If somebody tells me I look cute, I'm starting to say I know.
I like that.
Why am I thanking someone for something I already I already am,
mean-
and you acknowledged it too. Good for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because as opposed to because I feel like as living in a fat body, they are sometimes thinking they're doing me a favor by telling me I
Right.
look
Right.
acceptable with my appearance today.
Oh my God, that
you know what I
is
mean?
my least favorite. I was just at the gym. Ooh, skinny people. Skinny people at the gym. Don't say shit to me when I'm working out. I can't stand that. And they do think it's like, they're like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
or they're like,
it's
"Good
really-
And I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
yeah.
That's so
no.
condescending.
We have
It's
to.
so
how
condescending.
can
It's not a
we-
compliment.
We need to make fitwear that addresses that.
Yeah.
on
right,
Our
don't
bodies.
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give
Well,
me thumbs up, skinny
Right.
bitch.
I have a
No,
shirt
it
that
is.
says stronger than you think. And
Yeah.
I like to wear that.
That works a lot.
And like, I think people spend a good chunk of time reading it and I'm like, I don't think you get it, but whatever. But that's like I think my mom sent that to me. My mom
Yeah.
likes to send me clothes and usually I'm like, stop. But then I got that and I was like,
You're like,
pretty
go
cool.
mom.
Keep
That's a
going.
win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's totally what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that'll shut some shit down.
Yeah, let's
No, that's
just
a good
shut it
idea.
down.
Because I love dancing. Dancing's my
Yes,
my oxygen.
same.
So we should dance together sometime. So I do dance classes at the gym.
Oh, okay.
They actually
I just twerk.
that's a workout.
Twerk.
Yeah.
I like threw my
Girl.
back out twerking.
Oh, I believe that. I almost
Yes.
did it one time too. It's a
This is back workout.
they have twerk workout classes.
I've
Twerk out.
I've seen some questionable videos. We were talking about appropriation earlier.
It's a real workout.
I've seen some questionable twerking videos, but it absolutely is a real workout.
It is a real where I did a thing. This is not about me. This is this shit. But the point is that I barely could walk for 2 weeks after I did
You were
twerk
twerking.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a science.
Like,
It's
it
sort of a
is.
body
It is.
science.
Yeah.
You have to like get something going and continue it going. And I don't know
Right.
that I have that.
I think if
I don't
I
know
bet
how
you
to-
do.
I bet you do too.
But don't hurt yourself trying.
I
to
think
find
another
out.
advantage for fat girls with twerking is even if you don't have as much junk naturally in the trunk because we're bigger, we can fake it.
You're all
fake it
just-
till we make
Yeah,
it.
and it's like they're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, you're such a good twerker.
Just isolate and
Yeah,
it takes care of
exactly.
itself. It's true. Well, I love that. I just want Dellany to know. She doesn't know the story. We just did a pilot presentation together, which
Yes.
is what's so exciting. And I believe I was like helping out and like running and getting like the 3:00 crashing snacks, which they knew who to call. I'm just saying. So like I shot really early in the morning, and then the rest of the afternoon I was trying to like help and run. And I came in right as you were finishing, and literally every single person was like, "Did you see any of her footage?" Oh my God, she's like literally the funniest person I ever met.
so
And I just
sweet.
wanted to tell you that because I hadn't gotten
really
to tell you that. Like
sweet.
literally, not just one, like every single person was like, "Did you see Liz? Oh my God, she's so
That's
funny."
so sweet.
So you like knocked it out of the park.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
It's called Outdated. You'll
feedback.
find it one
I'm
day,
excited
guys.
Outdated.
about that. Yeah.
But I mean, it does not shock me that you're on Blackish, which is a hilarious show.
It's
And
great.
it's sneaky because it also is about something.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And like I'll be like, oh shit, that's true. Like, damn.
Absolutely.
So when that breakdown comes your way, what does it look like?
So that's like an interesting story. I was actually doing American Horror Story. I was in the middle of filming
I
American
have
Horror
done as
Story
well. Oh my
Cult.
God, what a
You have?
I
coincidence.
did. I was in the Freak Show season.
Shut up! I need
so
to watch it.
I definitely want to talk about Evan Peters with you after you're done talking
Why don't we talk about Evan now?
about? Okay, let's talk about Evan now. Yeah,
Full
let's
circle
let's
back
do
to
full
Black.
circle back. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the middle of doing American Horror Stories, and for that show, I when I got the audition, it was like a guard, and in the audition, I had to like unbutton my shirt and like expose like just the top of my chest, and I was like, I can do that. And then when I booked it, they were like, actually, it's partial nudity, and you have a sex scene, and this, that, and the other, and I was like, oh, okay. And I like had all these questions and nudity writers, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know how much of this I want to do. Like that, partial nudity, I truly didn't know what it meant. So I find out, that for FX, like they're not going to show your bare breast. They're not going to show your coochie, and they're not going to show your bare bottom. Like there's only so much that they show. So I was like, okay, all right. And then once I got to set and met the director, her name's Jennifer Lynch. She's incredible. She's like a friend of mine now. She's so warm. This is what y'all are going to do.
You know though?
No, days before
Do it.
Yeah, we let's
I want you to know that the same thing happened to me, not with nudity, but with content. Like they're very hush hush about what they
very
give you.
hush-hush.
And I had this I actually had a really sexy, and I thought I was gonna be doing in
Yeah.
a sheet and flirting and doing all this stuff. And that's what my audition was. And then I got the thing, and they were like, "You have to give birth outside to your freak baby," and I was like, "What?"
You're all, but wait.
Yeah.
But do I think it to be sexy?
Okay.
You're like, I just wanted a threesome. Was that so much to ask?
Right.
Where did my sexy bedroom scene go? So I was like, but go on. I'm sorry to be.
Oh no,
But they're
that is
Like the sexual experts. They were like,
Exactly.
no, you
They
guys,
were like,
I wrote a
what?
book and that's not.
Yeah.
That's
but
so
he
funny.
was so great. He's so sweet and super focused, like a really, really good
actor.
Yeah. And I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Jennifer, and I learned a lot from him.
Nice.
And that Blackish audition came while I was doing it, and my agents at the time were like, just focus on that. And I was like, no, because it was specifically a plus size actress for Blackish, and I was like, yeah, I don't see a lot of those for a hit comedy. I'd like to send in a self-tape.
Yeah.
So I sent in a self-tape, and then they gave me an adjustment, and then it was actually a co-star. It was just a one-day little thing.
Love it.
And then on set, everyone was so nice. And I was like, maybe I'll improvise because I do improv. I've done it my whole life. Yeah. And then I improvised, and I think they were like, oh, she can play with us. And so,
That's great.
I mean, that was season 4. And now I was the substitute, then I was the teacher, and now I'm the principal.
So they just kept
You are
asking
the
you back.
principal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
your
it's really
improv
Miss
was on
Biggs.
point.
Yeah, and I
Climbs
mean,
right up.
the producer that wrote that episode, and so essentially she created that character. Her name is Lindsay Shockley. She's hilarious, and like it turns out that she'd written on Benched, which was another show I did, which had a lot of groundling. Like she's just a comedic genius, and like she and I really bonded, and it was super easy to be on that show and to do that. It was kind of like the stars aligning or whatever cheesy bullshit you want.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And being around people of color, like it's not like you're the only one somewhere.
Right. No, it's just hair and makeup alone and costumes. I talk about that later. I think that I wrote this thing. Yeah, it's so easy to go on a show where they're like, oh, I know how to do your hair, blah, 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 and actually help my hair grow. Like I've always been notoriously terrible about doing my hair, especially when I switched from like getting relaxers to going natural. Like I was like, I guess I don't do anything, and that's not true. So
That's not how natural works.
like the hairstylist on that show, Roxy's like the lead hairstylist. She like has given me products. She's incredible. And then my hair guy, his name is Enoch. I love him so much. Like I get comments on the curls on that show all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's
brilliant.
like, it's like he's like my brother now.
I love hair and makeup people. They're my favorite.
I do too, but sometimes I can mess your shit up.
No. I mean, yes.
But when you find some, like what you're describing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and to your point, absolutely, being on a show that's all, or majority African American people, like there's an ease to it. Like I would say 90% of the time I try to show up to set with my hair done for other things, and I actually do not do that for Blackish because I know they're going to do going to do a better job than anything I could possibly
Well, and that's
do.
important too because that's part of the character. Like so what they're doing, it's a bit like your mood. I'm sure they're looking at the script, like what are we doing today?
Absolutely.
Like so that's part of building your character. So it's so much better for them to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I saw that clip too. Like I did a crash course today.
You're so
I'm
good.
just standing in for Nikki. No, it was only for you though. I didn't do the rest of it.
Nice.
But anyway, the Miss Biggs for Blackish, like I started when you said my name's Miss Biggs and you said something like, yes, I'm aware.
Yeah. My name is also my body type.
Body
or
type.
Something like that.
As soon as you said that, I braced myself for, here we go. Here comes the trope. Like it's gonna. Darn it, I'm so bummed for her. But then you literally made it the most empowering moment ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes!
Yeah.
They're not going to F with her.
Nope.
And she's awesome and Big is beautiful. And I really, the producer who wrote that.
Yeah,
like,
Lindsay. She's
good for
incredible.
Lindsay.
I am going to turn this on.
Yeah.
Tell me if it's
Do
loud.
it. No, it won't.
Oh,
be.
yeah, it's getting a little hot in here.
Well, I get shiny.
No,
And I'm like,
no. It goes from like highlight to shine. I
Right,
know, real
so-
quick. It's real quick. Well, why don't we take a little breather?
Okay.
oh, yes.
and that way we can towel
Unshine.
off.
Yes.
It's getting hot in
Yeah,
here.
you guys look great.
Well, I don't know about that. We'll be back with Plus This.
I know I do. Thank you.
Good practice. Good practice.
It's amazing.
But yeah, like it, wait.
Promotional consideration provided by Scrubs Body, an all-female owned business giving you permission to pamper in jars and bottles. Now with a brick-and-mortar location at 245 Main Street in Farmingdale, New York. Still available online at scrubsbody.com.
Hi.
Hi.
I thought we were going to play our promo too for Patreon, but I guess we didn't.
What?
That's okay. It's all right, Shy. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh no.
We can sing about Patreon right now.
Patreon.
Give the money.
Patreon.
Patreon.
Actually, I don't know what is
Patreon.
So Patreon
Yeah.
basically.
Do a commercial now.
Do a commercial now. I'll try to make it 30 seconds. Basically, you support people's art and the things they provide by just like sponsoring them monthly, like you're like sort of like subscribing to someone.
Yeah.
And I figured out the math. If we got $5 a month from 10 people for a year, we can take care of our season.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I would just love $5 a month. It's like a
Come
coffee.
on, y'all.
So if y'all like what you watch,
That's
you
a coffee
can go to
with-
Patreon.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on our page. But if you go to Patreon @ plus the show, it'll come up.
Do it.
Patreon.
You won't
And I
regret
like
it.
using the French accent. Anyway, but no. I want to go back. I want to go to the article that you wrote because I loved it, and I feel like every single plus size actress. What did I just say?
Ashtray.
I did not drink water during that break.
Plus size.
Plus size
ashtray.
actress.
Sorry, you're an actress. I'm sorry, I had to sing your. I had to sing your thing. So, I have not met a plus size actress in LA specifically. In New York, I've had on and off things with costuming,
Right.
but here in LA, it is like been pretty much the general rule, except for American Horror Story, which was extraordinary.
Right.
And Lou is like the
Right.
best in the business.
Right.
Like built me costumes from scratch.
Right.
Because they had to be period. Like,
Oh
it was
yeah,
amazing.
my bras were.
Yeah.
They were really nice. And then like days later, they're like, you should have taken them. I was like,
I
because
know.
they were like $200 bras or something.
I know.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
'Cause- and actually, a lot of the article or essay that I wrote had to do with like uniform because I still play a lot of uniformed roles, like cops or DMV workers, like things like that. And those uniforms are just not for curvy plus size women. They're really not.
They're
And if
hella
there is-
boxy. and
They're like
male.
Yes.
Walmart
Yeah.
boxy.
Right, and it's fascinating because I'm like, and it's usually men's clothes for sure. And my gosh, I forget that men's bodies are like, if they have a big waist, they have tiny legs.
Yeah.
That's just not our bodies.
not
It's
our
not. I mean,
bodies.
it can be, and that's fine. It's just not my body, and it's not
Right.
typical of a woman's curves
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do that. So yeah, I remember coming home from a fitting and they had made like a off the cuff comment about like, well, I don't know, maybe you should invest in like some uniform stuff. And I was like, wow, talking about privilege like we were earlier. Like it is a privileged thing to think that like I'm doing the same job that like everyone else is doing, but you're asking me to provide,
Right.
you know, so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only as a plus size woman, but as like an African American woman, like doing my own hair. Like I'm already providing quite a bit.
Right.
Right.
No,
So I came
it's
home
tough.
and I was like really, really going in about it to my girlfriend Lindsay, and she was like, "You should write about it." And I was like, So I wrote like just like a stream of conscious, like how I was feeling in the moment. And then I was asked if I wanted to do an essay for Backstage, and they were like, "You can write about whatever you want." And I was like, "Good," because I already wrote this. And you know, I sprinkled in like some humor in there because you know I'm a comedian. So, but it's got to be one of the most like fulfilling. Like I feel like I gave something to my industry because I get so much feedback from actresses that are just like, "Thank you, this is great advice." Like I'm speaking up for myself, and like that means so much to me. Like that means the world to me that there are actresses that look like us that are going into fittings and that are like, you know, holding their own and sticking up for
Yes.
themselves and not just like holding it in and, you know, being tense and not, you can't, it's hard to do your job.
It is.
Like,
No, it is.
are you an actress?
I am.
Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't want to exclude you. I unfortunately did not do
Don't
my
worry about
research.
me. Listen, we're not doing that here. Don't worry about me, girl.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
like, you
everything,
know.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's like, you know,
I remember I lived in New York City. I did extra work for what was it? Sandra Bullock, a wedding, 2 weeks notice. Is that what it was? Okay, so I did extra work for that, and back then I was a size 8. But even at I'm a size 6. I'm a hefty size 16 now.
You're beautiful.
But even
size 16.
thank you. But even at a size 8, I don't know if it's my personality or what, but I was always like told I was fat, even as a size 8. Okay, so anyway, extra. I go to the wardrobe or whatever, and I tell them, I'm like, I'm a size 8, probably a 10, sure. They're looking at 16, 18, like what I am now. And I said, and I was very meek back then, and I was like, excuse me, this isn't gonna work. And he was like, just put it on. And like he barked at me, the guy who was in charge of that. Yeah, and I put it on, and sure enough, it was like a tint on me. And then I didn't say anything because he'd already bit my head off, and I was like, is this the reality of what it's like for all actresses?
Yep.
Yeah, and that was just extra work. And it's like somebody has to speak up, and they look at you as a prop, and then they're like, we'll just put something on you. But it's very insulting when you have curves.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like,
no, it is.
and also just feeling beautiful. Like so much of my essay was about how it feels different to be treated like everyone else, which sounds like a very basic common thing.
Right.
But then to also be made to feel like, yes, you should be beautiful on this show.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like I talk about How to Get Away with Murder, that costume designer was like, you should be wearing pencil skirts like for your frame, like they're perfect. And I was like, no. And then he put one on me, and I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
And you
Look at me.
Forever.
And
And when someone is doing their job and actually sees you, it really makes such a tremendous difference.
It changes everything.
And it's funny because I wrote a blog. I have a blog, Cool Girl Is Dead, that I every 4 years now write, but I used to write it all the time. And
well, you have a show.
Yes, I have a show. It's okay. I'll survive. So, but I went off topic because it was like a topic about like dating sucks as a plus size girl, and this is all my love drama. And instead, I wrote about this incident that happened to me on a show where I gave the woman my measurements that I had just gotten from down at American Horror Story because they measured me.
Right.
And I gave her those measurements and I told her the places I shopped and she went to Macy's and grabbed sizes and then was mad when they didn't fit me. And she's like, you should really tell people that you need stretch in your clothes if those are your sizes. And I was like, well, I know I'm like 5'2" and it's like a weird body shape, which is why I
It's
gave
not
you
weird,
my
though. It's your body shape,
but I
but-
gave you
right.
my measurements.
Exactly.
Like, I know it's like
Like, you
hard
knew.
for
Right.
people to
I
figure
don't know
out.
why it's so hard for you, because that's your
exactly,
job.
because you're doing your job.
Yeah.
So I had written a blog post about it, and a friend of mine who's a producer of reality stuff ended up, which was like, can I put this in the packet that I'm using to pitch a show? And it was Timothy Snell's show, and he's a curvy designer, and they ended up making a show.
That's
And like
amazing.
I was like, oh my God. So when I was trying to do a toss and I couldn't do it. So when you talk about affecting things, like, yes, like the ripple effect that you have in what you said is so important. And we didn't even get to Hot Topics because you're so
shoot.
fabulous.
We
And we
really
have
went
to
off.
wrap up.
Wait, we just got started.
I know.
went off.
It's so fast
This
when
is
it's
an hour,
good.
right?
I know.
It did not feel like an hour.
I know it never
felt
does.
great.
Wow.
When Liz is here,
I do just
have
have to say one thing, that the first segment that you guys talked about, especially with what's been going on with Dallas, I really appreciate when I have allies that don't look like me exactly. Like, we share body types, but we don't share skin colors. And so I appreciate that you guys are so adamant about your allyship with African American people, but specifically African American women. It's super important. And yeah, so I was sitting here listening to you guys, and I was like, thank you, because I shouldn't have to talk about this. I shouldn't be the only one, and I'm
That's
not.
right. Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and I need to do this more. I'm trying, but it's like so sensitive right now. Our culture, just the feel of everything. But we've got to, as the white women, we've got to check in.
Y'all
and
got to
ask,
do better.
what can we do? But also, how are you feeling? Like,
Yeah.
what
Right.
can I do for you to
Right.
make
How
you feel
can we
better?
relieve
Right.
In addition to the actual activism, it's like, what can I rub your feet? Like, what can I do for you?
Well, like I said, thank
I
you
suck at
for
it, but I'll offer.
making that a topic.
By
Yeah.
the way, your Scrubs Body stuff is really good.
Oh
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm so
For the
they
feet
gave me a
stuff.
gift.
I know
Kathy
that.
So
is the
sweet.
Our sponsor gave us gifts
I
to
think
give.
they're
It's really
asking to rub
easy.
my feet.
We have to take off. Tell people where to find you because they want to know.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Liz Jenkins _ maybe MAEBY baby. That's my dog. We can share an Instagram. Or on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter at EJ11LIZZIE. Or you can just search for me, Liz Jenkins.
I gotta find you because
Yeah.
I have to check and see about Twitter. And Dellany, thank you. What is your business? Tell them your
Well, my
things.
business is that we're going to be performing at the Plus Bus Boutique on October the 12th. Thatch Sketch Comedy.
And Katie O'Hearn is
Yes.
going to be
yes,
here next
Katie's
week as
gonna
a
be here,
guest.
and she's great.
But tell them how they find you, and we have to wrap up. We
I'm
gotta go.
right here. Okay, Dellany Peace. Dellany Peace. Dellany Peace. Like, literally, I'm the
Google
only
her.
person in the world named Dellany Peace. So Google me, and you'll find so much about me.
And obviously, you can find us at Plus the Show everywhere. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you,
next
guys.
week.
this?